This is Mitchell Elf, and this year our theme is Adaptations, and this unit is Hunter Hunted, and this is the introduction and conclusion. As always, the outline is taped to the lid of the bin, and you've got the introduction part and then the conclusion part on the other side. In the bin you will find the materials for both the introduction with the puppet show and some great supplementary visuals that a parent made for us, and then you'll find some books and you'll find the materials to do some of the conclusion activities. It is always up to you to adapt what part of this you'd like to use, what's appropriate for your grade level. This unit has some samples or some specimens that we've borrowed from the Museum of Nature and Science. So be very thoughtful and careful with these. If there are any problems with the specimens or any other part of this ELF unit, please make sure to get a hold of us right away at mitchellelf@gmail.com. The specimens that we've borrowed, the Denver Museum of Nature and Science, again, is asking us to be thoughtful and very scientific about our representation of the materials. And it's a much smaller amount. There's only one bin, and one large bin, and then one small bucket. It's late at night. I'm struggling to remember what things were called. Anyhow, so on with what you need to do. So you're gonna hopefully start out by reminding the kids that before they went to winter break, the unit that they did was teeth and skulls. So ask them what they remember about that. Hopefully they'll focus on herbivores and carnivores and omnivores and even insectivores, and some of the things they noticed that made those animals different from each other and also similar. Because then we're going to move. Then you can move into having the kids think about and discuss our focus question, which is having the students learn that animals that hunt other animals for food, the predators, and the animals that they hunt, the prey, each have special adaptations that help them to survive challenges in their particular roles. And so, as always, listed in the outline are various opening questions. Usually it's really good to just pick a few. Some simple ones: what are the differences and the similarities between predators and prey? What kind of diet types do predators have? Are predators? What kind of diet types are prey? Are some both? What challenges do herbivores and omnivores face, or predators and prey face to survive? What adaptations have they had to make? All these questions are typed up for you in the outline, and again, I would just select a few of them, not all of them. You won't have time to go over them. And then you can choose if you'd like to do the puppet show or if you'd like to do the felt storyboard. The felt storyboard I'm going to discuss in Center 5, because really the felt storyboard goes with Center 5. But if you decide to cut Center 5, then you could certainly use that for the introduction or the conclusion. And then our puppet show is our version of Little Red Riding Hood. So you've got our cast of characters is the fox and Little Rabbit and Grandma Rabbit and a Briar Patch, and it hopefully kind of will start to get the kids thinking about the relationship of predators and prey. And then we have books that are always great to use. I like to use them as a conclusion activity while students are eating their snack. But you could also use one of these books and let the teacher read it out, like in the hallway as you're setting up the room. Or if you need a spot for one of these books in another center, you can always borrow them. Just need to make sure that you get them back to the bin that they belong in. So then there are two. If you choose not to read a book, or if you choose to read a book and do another activity, there are two activities in the conclusion. One is the Web of Life, and the other is Food Chain Tag. The Web of Life is a great illustration of the interrelationships between plants and animals and predator and prey and the sun and where everything gets their energy from. And there's a Ziploc full of predator prey and plant cards, and so you'll give each student one of these cards. Kind of, hopefully you can make sure somebody gets the sun, because that's important. Make sure there's plants, make sure there's predators, make sure there's prey. And so what you'll do is there'll be a ball of string in the center, in the bin, and you'll start by handing the ball of string, say for instance, to the person that's the fox. And the fox has got to find what it eats. So it's going to hold on to the string and then pass it to the rabbit. And the rabbit's going to hold on to that same thing of string and pass this ball of yarn on to what it eats, which might be dandelions. And then the dandelions are going to hold on to that same length of yarn now that's now gone from the fox to the rabbit to the dandelions, and it's got to find, well, where does it get its energy from? What does it eat, in quotations there? And what it needs is the energy from the sun to grow. And so then you'll pass the ball of yarn to the sun, and there you'll cut it off, and so you'll have a length of yarn that goes from the fox to the rabbit to the dandelions to the sun. And then you'll start over with another piece of the web and another animal. Say you might start with an owl. Well, what does the owl eat? Well, sometimes it also eats rabbits, so that would be connected that way. There are all kinds of cards in here to include humans. So it's just a good activity to show the interrelationships between all the living things and how we're interdependent upon each other. The other activity is definitely an outside activity, and because it's tag, that should be the first clue. And so what you're going to do, students do not wear these, so there should not be any concern or worry for any kind of health contamination. Students just need to hold on to them, or they could put them in the pocket of their jacket, but more easily, it would be just as easy just for the students to hold on to them. And so each color of bandana represents a different element in the food chain. So there will be carnivores, and all the carnivores will get one color. And there'll be herbivores, and they'll all get another color. And what else? And then there'll be plants. So because I think there's just three colors, yeah, brown, and green, and the tiger stripe. So it's plants and herbivores and carnivores. And what is going to happen is they'll play tag, and if you're a carnivore, you're going to chase a herbivore. And if you're a herbivore, you're going to chase a plant. And if you're a plant, you get chased by, I know the answer to this, it's in here. You get chased by something else, because they're decomposed. They've decomposed. I would have to reread it, and you don't want me to do that right now while I'm trying to do this video. So, let's see. It says, so carnivores tag herbivores, herbivores tag plants, but because carnivores decompose after they die and nourish, the plants tag the carnivores. There you go. So carnivores tag herbivores, herbivores tag plants, and plants tag carnivores because the soil eats up the decomposed body of the animal that's died. So after a period of playing it, you can freeze and have everybody talk about what's happened. Make sure students know that they need to run away from what's trying to eat them because they're trying to survive. And so after playing a few rounds, you can select one or two students to play the role of the human. And the humans are the omnivores, so they can tag anyone, but no one can tag them. And so after that's gone on for a while, you can kind of freeze the game again and talk about the balance and the role of humans in the food chain and what happens when we overburden our resources and what we can do to help keep them in balance. So, some pretty interesting concepts and relationships that you can get the kids to kind of wrap up related to their discovery of Hunter Hunted. If you have any questions, please email us at mitchellelf@gmail.com. I forgot to talk to you about the 2-hour class day. Generally, again, it's 15 minutes for setup and 15 minutes for the introduction, and then you do, of the 5 centers we've provided, you can do 4 of them for 20 minutes each, and then about a 15-minute conclusion. And then as you're cleaning up, please make sure to spend just 3 or 4 extra minutes making sure everything is put away neatly and properly so that the next group can show up and find everything ready to go for them. It's so much nicer when groups aren't having to struggle and dig to find things, especially if you've borrowed something from one center to use in another center. For larger classes, you can try to run all 5 centers. It shortens them, and I would be a little bit weary of that unless you have some extra time as asked, and you ask the teacher for some extra time, since Center 1 definitely needs the 20 minutes probably to look at all the specimens. But that's up to you and your group of volunteers. Thank you all so much for volunteering, and happy elfing. Thanks.